Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. So there was email sent to government workers at numerous agencies that instructed employees to report if a colleague's job relates to diversity, equity, inclusion within 10 days. This directive implies a looming risk of adverse consequences for those who fail to comply. So essentially, this order is asking other workers to snitch on their coworkers and state if they have a role into DEI. Now, I wonder if this is going to somehow roll over to HR and asking who are the personnel who are hired under DEI. I wonder if organizations, corporations, and companies actually hire who they hired under the DEI program, meaning that maybe you're a business manager, maybe you are a data analyst, maybe you're a secretary, but they hire you under the DEI. I had a conversation with my son yesterday. My son, who is very non-political, he's only 24. He's on Instagram. You know, he's doing what college or graduates of college are still doing in the workforce, starting his career, but not too much involved in politics like other people who are probably around his age group. This is not his thing, but he came and he said, Dad, I heard that Donald Trump signed an executive order that canceled DEI. What does that mean? And I broke it down to him, and I'm not going to give you the long, drawn-out story that I gave my son. I said, well, basically, son, he changed the system that DEI, affirmative action, that was essentially given mostly minorities, and minorities are basically not the dominant population of America. The dominant population of America are white and people that are adjacent to white and people who classify themselves as white. But when you're speaking about blacks, Asian, and Hispanics, the majority of the minorities, it was giving us opportunities that normally wasn't granted to us. And because of this DEI program, some people was believing that Black, Asians, and Hispanics were not qualified to get some of these positions or in some of these jobs under the DEI and affirmative action programs. Now, I also gave him what I thought. Not that I know. I want to make sure I point this out. Not that I think that I know, but what I stated is, I said you have John and Tyrone. John is white, Tyrone is black. And before DEI, before affirmative action, before civil rights, let's say that Tyrone was more qualified than John. He had more years of experience. He had a college degree, but he didn't know anyone in the workforce. Maybe he didn't have any networking skills, because everybody would say it's not what you know, it's who you know. But nonetheless, John will get hired over Tyrone. So then comes civil rights. Here comes affirmative action. Here comes DEI. So now, instead of overlooking Tyrone, who's more qualified, they would then hire Tyrone because, again, according to some of these affirmative action DEI rules, these corporations, organizations, and companies will allocate a certain percentage of their demographics to mirror or to match minorities that are qualified within their state, within their city, within their region. A lot of people started to believe that people were getting hired simply because they were black, simply because they were Asian, simply because they were Hispanic and other races or other ethnics that we may have in the U.S., simply because of that. That's why you would hear that a lot of people in the dominant society was using what people alluded to racial slurs as, oh, that's a DEI hire. What do you mean? And majority of times that they use this so-called DEI hire was mostly labeling black folk, even though that this was for all minorities. And I said, what I think a lot of people was believing is that you have John and Tyrone. Now, John and Tyrone both have a business management degree, but John has 2 more years of experience than Tyrone. But because of DEI, they hired Tyrone anyway, even though John is more qualified. He has more skills. He has more years of experience. But I said that's definitely was not the case, because black people, Hispanic people in the workforce in certain demographics and certain job capacities still are not the overwhelming population that has those positions and have those jobs titles. So he said, well, what does this mean if he cancels it? I said, well, supposedly, we are changing to a merit-based system, which I believe is good. Meaning that we're going to look at the hard work and the years of experience and, you know, the licensing, the certifications, the skills that you have, soft and hard. And we're going to compare you to other people who are applying for that same job. And no matter of your race, your ethnic, your religion, your sex, you should get that job if you are, one, you're more qualified than the candidates that you interview against, and two, you are a good fit. That's the key. Job fit. That's the key, because again, you may be overqualified or you may match the qualifications perfectly, but once they interview you, at least you get an interview. Once they interview you, if you don't seem to be a good fit and seem as though you can gel with that team, then you're probably not going to get that job. Here's the issue. What if the team is all white? What if the team is all Hispanic? What if the team is all Asian? And there are some cultural differences. Now, some people say, oh, it's just about business, about business, about business, about business. No. Sometimes it's about culture. And that doesn't mean when we're talking personally, but some people respond and talk and speak very differently, can still be professional, but it may not be in the same vernacular or enunciation or pronunciation or vocabulary that you're probably used to, or the way they adjacent their work. There are some stark differences, okay? Because when you have someone, if you have a team, let's say that's all Asian, and even though they probably from different parts of Asia, different Asian countries, they may have things that tie them together, certain cultural norms or certain racial norms. And then you have a black guy come in there. That may change the dynamics of the team. That may change some of the conversations you may have. So again, these are all things that may or may not be affected by DEI and it being canceled. So again, I told my son, I believe this is a good thing for now until we have statistics, until we have evidence that says otherwise. So until then, I don't really see the problem with it right now. Some people might have some foreknowledge. They may be Nostradamus, can see the future. But yeah, there was emails sent to government workers at numerous agencies instructing employees to report if a colleague job relates to DEI within 10 days. And again, all DEI, people who are part of DEI, the program that were running it, they're on paid leave until they're essentially laid off. And I believe that Donald Trump has done this to give them time to look for another position within the federal government or look for another position, maybe in the private sector altogether. So that is my belief on that. But when it comes to illegal immigration, Trump is definitely not playing. Trump is definitely not playing because President Trump ordered deployment of 1,500 active duty troops. Important. Don't forget, National Guard is ran by the state. Those are state troops. Active duty troops are federal troops, okay? Because he signed executive orders to strengthen the border that made this federal legislation, okay? But he deployed them to the southern border, reinforcing federal, state, and local law enforcement efforts. And this move, articulated in a statement, is part of a broader plan which really envisages the potential sending of around 10,000 troops to provide support to Border Patrol agents. Trump is literally giving all sorts of federal agents the power of deportation because it's simply we don't have enough people to cover the entire border, especially the portion of the border that doesn't have the wall yet. And again, I believe that they should do a lot more things with the wall. They should have cameras on the wall if they don't already have them. They should have some sort of vibrating or devices in the ground to see if they're going to dig underneath to come and make tunnels like we've seen cartels do in the past. So again, there's a lot of things we do. And yeah, it's going to be very expensive. But when we look at the amount of money we give to the foreign budget, to other countries, helping support their wars, and all the money we give to like the WHO, and that's why we're getting out of the WHO, all this money that America forks out to all these other countries, believe me, we had money to build this wall 10 times over. 10 times over. And under the Trump administration, stringent immigration policies and fears have escalated among immigrant families regarding safety, as ICE is now permitted to conduct arrests at schools, churches, and hospitals, which were safe havens at first. Now, I never knew why these places were safe havens. I want you to think about that. You are illegally in the country. But because you are at school, a church, or a hospital, you cannot be deported. Because it's going to be, quite frankly, like this. You're going to have some illegal immigrants in school. They're going to say, please come with us. That's about going to be it. You're going to be in the middle of prayer, and they may be respectful, like, let them finish praying. Okay, you guys come with us. They're going to be at the hospital, and they're like, are they stable? Okay, is that IV mobile? Please come with us, because you're in our country illegally using our resources, enjoying what we have built, and you have not contributed to it. And there's a lot of liberal and democratic people will say, oh, well, they pay taxes. No, a lot of them do not pay taxes. Some of them do pay taxes, and a lot of them are paying taxes under fraudulent Social Security numbers. So again, people who are legally in the country are doing illegal things to work in the country and to live in the country illegally. And I think people are not really understanding that, because this particular policy marks a stark shift, which is causing anxiety among numerous communities that had previously relied on these spaces as safe havens. There are no longer safe havens, and I believe that's a good thing. Nowhere to run to, baby. Nowhere to hide. Now, President Trump announced plans to impose a 25% tariff on products from Canada and Mexico, and as well as China. This decision is motivated by his assertion that these countries are aligned an influx of illegal immigration, with the exception of China, even though there have been, I think, 24,000 Chinese illegals that came through the border last year between October and December, if I'm not mistaken, into the U.S., and an additional 10% on China because of the fentanyl crisis. So again, he's stating about these 10%, and he's kind of going back and forth between 10 and 25% when it comes to whether it be Canada with the illegal immigration and all of the imports that we receive from them, and they're not receiving too many of our exports. So again, that's between 10 and 25%. China would not giving us a fair deal when it comes to trade, 10 to 25%. And they also have a lot of illegal immigrants that's coming through south of the border. So again, he's not playing with the world altogether. He's been noticing that Americans been taken advantage of, and he's putting his foot down. And again, everybody's in an uproar of what may potentially happen. This has never happened before. A lot of these things, as brash and stark and outlandish that it may seem, these things has never happened before. And at this point, I think we just, again, should let it happen to see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? The economy falls. America becomes number 2 or number 3 in the GDP. We just have to wait and see, because we've tried everything else. We've done everything else. People have supported the Democrats for a very long time. And the only thing that it seems though our economy and our country has been in a great decline. Yeah, there's some social things that people can kind of have arguments and debates about, that Republicans and or Donald Trump has demeaned and defamed. And there may be some points taken from that. I get it. But again, I like this. I like the show of power, especially when you're powerful, right? Because again, America has been powerful for a very long time, but we have never asserted our power. Okay. And a lot of people, because of the way Donald Trump speaks, oh, he's very unpresidential, but he's doing his actions. A lot of time people talk tough, but they never do nothing. Right. But his actions are the most important thing to me. And I think it should be the most important thing to the American citizen, because we can really criticize how someone speaks, how someone words a certain thing, but their actions, is that going to benefit America? Now, on the first day in office, we understand that President Trump signed an executive order for the U.S. to withdraw from the World Health Organization. And this strategic withdrawal could jeopardize the global health landscape, because America has been paying a lot of money to the WHO, and we haven't really been receiving the benefits as we should. But also, it may inhibit international cooperation on health emergencies and weaken the U.S. role in addressing global health threats. Now, America, we are a conglomerate of healthcare, and we have the CDC. We have a lot of organizations that do some of the same things in a lot of these international courts that we pay our tithes to. So again, I think we have to allow certain things to mature, but monitor it very closely to see if it's beneficial versus not what it's been for a very long time, that it works against America. So again, a lot of people are crying foul, a lot of things that he's doing, right? Very ambitious coming in. He hit the ground running. And a lot of Americans wanted to see this. A lot of Americans are happy with the actions of Trump because he made promises and he went right to work, even before he took the office, even before the inauguration. So again, it's not that you're in love with the man, but you may dislike what he's doing. You may not know how it turns out, neither do I, but hopefully we're all hoping for the better because again, if America burns, we all burn. It's getting hot. Now, the appointment of new leadership at the SEC appears to pave the way for the approval of meme coin-based ETFs, including those linked to Trump, DOGE, and BONK. These suggest a shift towards increased acceptance of such products within the financial markets, potentially bringing more institutional investment into the crypto space. I'm going to touch a little bit more on this. I'm going to come right back to this, but let's jump on this very quickly. The Trump administration is expanding law enforcement. They are expanding law enforcement. You know to who? To every law enforcement agency. He's expanding law enforcement role in immigration enforcement by granting federal agents, including the Gun and Drug Enforcement Agent, also known as DEA, and powers similar to those held by immigration officers. These actions aim to enhance deportation efforts across various federal agencies and significantly increase the capacity for immigration enforcement. Yeah, he's giving other federal agencies the power of deportation. We don't have enough people in place to combat the onslaught of all these caravans of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of illegal immigrants in the country. And when we look at this, could he grant the CIA powers of deportation? Could he also give power, again, he's giving the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, the powers of deportation, so he, again, can give more federal troops the power to deport people, but we can look at the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, Homeland Security, and I believe that the CPP falls under the Homeland Security, but Homeland Security does have agents. We have so many agencies that deals in law enforcement that he can grant power to. What about the Department of Justice agents? They have agents. He can also grant them the power of deporting illegal immigrants. So again, he may any federal agency that has a department or faction of law enforcement agents that carry guns with a badge, he may give them the power to deport. He may give them the power to deport. And I don't think that's wrong. They have, again, there's training that has to be done. This is a very sensitive matter of how to handle these people. They are people, okay? It's not like, again, I told you, those criminals who are selling fentanyl inside of our country, who are increasing the drug trade inside of our country, those who are harming American citizens, I'm not going to say how they should be treated. Treat them as you see fit under the law. But when it comes to the citizens who trespassing inside the country, treat them very humanely, okay? But nonetheless, we want to talk about, as I was telling you guys before, Trump, DOGE, BONK, and ETFs. Now, I don't have BONK, okay? I don't have BONK, but I do have Trump coin and I do have DOGE coin. Let me show you very quickly. Now, I invested $500 into official Trump, which is also known as a Trump coin. My average cost was $36. It's a one-time investment. I have around 13 shares, almost 14 shares. Is 1 point of my cryptocurrency wallet here, or cryptocurrency portfolio on Robinhood. And just for you guys who are not aware of this, the official Trump token, as known as Trump, is a meme token that was launched in this month, according to GetTrumpMemes.com. 200 million, 20% of the supply was available to the market at launch. CIC Digital LLC, an affiliate of the Trump Organization, and Fight LLC collectively own 80% of the remaining non-public supply, subject to a 3-year unlocking schedule. So yeah, the reason why I bought Trump, this has nothing to do with Trump. This has to do with an investment that I see a possible large return on. Now, a lot of people are calling this a pump and dump. They believe that Donald Trump, of course, is going to become more rich than he already is, and that essentially this is going to be a trash stock, that this is going to be somehow treated as a penny stock. Because I want to show you guys something right here, because it hasn't bounced back, but it has large fluctuations, very volatile in this first month. But these are typical. I've seen many of stocks that have responded this way. But let me show you this. I'll go back to a week. So it came out January 18th at $48.72 a coin. It rose up to 60-something dollars. So you think it was $61.67. And then it dropped to its lowest at $31.44. I didn't buy it then. Okay, I didn't buy it then. And this was only 3 years ago. It upticked, was it 2 days ago, to $43.81. And currently we are at 37 cents. So I'm still in a plus positive. I'm only at 5%, roughly 5%, $23. At one point in time, I was making like $80, okay, as far as profit. But again, I'm going to let this ride. I'm going to start looking at this around his third year, because I think that's when it may come more volatile than it already is here in the first month. Because again, this is going to be predicated on some of the legislations. Believe it, that's how people are going to look at this. People are not just going to look at that Donald Trump made a meme coin like Dogecoin, and no, this is going to be how people feel about what he's doing with the economy. So I'm really going to start watching this his third year, okay, when he have 2 years left. And then secondly, let me see, I have Dogecoin as well. Okay, Dogecoin. Look, how's my Dogecoin? I'm still down 34% on Dogecoin. Elon, I need you to say something or do something to get my Dogecoin back up. Because if you notice, I bought this, my average cost was 54 cents. Yeah, it's not looking good for me. And I have 466. So if Dogecoin just reach $1, but I'm reading all sorts of investment news, I'm looking at predictions, they're like, yeah, it's going to get around like 38 cents. Again, I'm just going to hold on and see if anything happens. But nonetheless, thank you guys for joining me this morning. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys later on this evening. This is Blacklogic.